Warm greetings from the High 10. It is Everyday Shenanigans, and thanks for joining me. Today is Wednesday, the 23rd of June, and on Monday marked 6 months, June 21st, that the boys of Cal City went missing. Two small African American children went missing December 21st, 2020. And on Monday, June 21st, 21, marked 6 months. There have been no lucrative information, verification of the children, where they are, if they are living, if they are deceased. As I brought you information a few days ago pertaining to the children, it was letting you all know about Mr. Brian Wang moving to Denver, Colorado for a new position at News 7. And I wanted to make this video because it was pertinent that I bring this information back to the forefront. The children are not forgotten. Many of us still think about the children, talk about the children, discuss the children, discuss where we think they are, what we think what has happened to the children. As I have stated in all of my commentary on this channel, I do not know where the children are. I do not know who has the children, if indeed they are alive. I don't believe that the children are alive. And if they are, I would be thrilled to know that they are. But how could we possibly know? Everything in this case pertaining to the missing boys of Cal City is up for interpretation. Like many true crime stories, cases, you don't know what to think. All you know is what you've seen from the people involved, the caretakers, guardians, parents, said persons who were allegedly taking care of the children. And in this case, the children were adopted out of foster care to a Trezell and Jacqueline West. And they reported those two said baby boys missing from the backyard of a Cal City home in California. And they have not been seen, heard from by those said people allegedly who were taking care of the children, the adoptive parents, the parents of the children. This was a wild ride pertaining to these kids. So many stories, innuendos, fake sightings, and nothing panned out. A lot of social media hype pertaining to the YT, Facebook, of the children, who had them, how they went missing, why they went missing. They're alive, they're here, they're there, they're deceased. It's human trafficking. It was all type of horrible scenarios pertaining to the children. But nonetheless, 6 months later, June 21st, 2021, now today, 2 days later, the 23rd of June, no sightings of the children. Not an inkling of information. Many people brought in for questioning. That information was brought to the public. Some detained. That said information, we don't know who, whom, how many, plural. We don't know how many were given lie detector tests. We do know that from the Cal City chief that the test was offered to someone, plural, perhaps. Naturally, we have to say plural because there were two people who were allegedly taking care of the children. So let's just say the test was offered to Jacqueline and Trezell West, but the Cal City chief would not give information if the two denied the test, took the test, failed, whatsoever. But you would think if they did take the test and failed, the chief would have no problem with letting us know. If they passed, he'd have no problem letting us know. So what I have to assume is that he offered the test to the said adoptive parents, and they declined. And now we will wonder, who else did they offer the test to? The bio mother, Ryan Dean, bio fathers, whomever they are, if they've even indeed been legally verified as the father of the said children. You see, it's a harrowing story. A young female, African-American female, gave birth to 4 children by 4 different men. We do not have verification of all of the baby's fathers, if indeed they are the fathers, the names that have been put out there. I've made no claim to whom someone's baby daddy was, because I had heard rhetoric not even maybe 2 weeks ago that the said parties of the last two, the ones that are missing, may not be their fathers. I don't know. I claim nothing in this horrendous tale pertaining to two missing black babies out of the state of California. But it is disturbing. It is despicable, because in the end, those babies had a biological mother who, for whatever reason, fell off, couldn't fulfill her duties as a parent. And then all four of her children went separate ways. The last two into foster care, the older two with their prospective fathers each. You see, you don't know what to think in a tale pertaining to children missing, children being separated from one another. So you're talking about 4 children, something that you rarely hear spoken of. That these babies were in this house with this female, and now they're all separated. 2 are missing by the adoptive parents. It's a very sad, sad story. You see, that's the thing people don't think about with a story. It's how deep it actually goes, or as they say, the rabbit hole. Because there's more to a story than just what you've been told. You've just been told 2 itty-bitty spiders went missing. You assume what you want. You hear gossip, rhetoric, he said, she said. But it's much deeper than that, you see. Because those said children also had other siblings in the same household at some point. And those said children, who are older, are now separated from one another. And also these 2 itty-bitty spiders who are currently missing, who possibly may not even be alive. And that will be the most tragic tale, is if indeed the 2 babies are no longer living. So where are they? Are they alive? Does someone have the children? Has someone, plural, been taking care of the children, hiding them out, adopted them, readopted them, took them in, kidnapped them? What? Where are these children? That is the $1 million question. Where are these children? Who has these children? Are these children even alive? You're entitled to think what you want, because many do. We are entitled to our opinions. And it doesn't help to hear wild, wicked stories of a child's disappearance, where they could be, how they got gone. But one thing I think most of us know is that there have been lies told pertaining to the missing Cal City boys. I do not believe that they went missing from that backyard. I cannot say for sure if they ever made it to that home when the parents moved there in September, October of 2020. But one thing I do know is that something bad has happened. And I believe that in my heart and my spirit, that those children were harmed by those parents, or one, and each aided the other one in either getting rid of the children entirely, physically, and or aided the other one in something heinous and sinister, possibly death. Either way, they're both complicit. However you want to look at it, judge the situation. I do believe both parties, Jacqueline and Trezell West, harmed those kids, aided one another, and or both conspired to get rid of the children altogether in a demonic fashion, which was possibly death. I won't doubt that for a second. Because you see, these 2 creatures refused to talk to the public, used a pay site to deliver messages in the beginning, and then the family decided to pass messages along on the said site, which is very weird and idiotic to me, because why would you do that? Why not use the news? The news and the radio have been the main sources of information in our country, in other countries, for over 100 years. So it makes no sense to go to a pay site to give information pertaining to missing children. To me, it's just as hideous as the children being missing. Just as hideous as assuming that someone murdered the children, sold the children. It's all the same. It's disrespectful to a living child or a deceased child, plural. Why not go to the news and say, this, and this? My children are missing. I missed them. I want them back. Whoever has them, please return them. You see, that's what a caring parent would do. Plural. I miss my children. Bring them back to me, us. We miss them, all of us. Here is our entourage, our family unit. We are standing firm in wanting these children back. But you don't see that in this case. Strangers looking for the children, night 1, night 2. You understand what I'm saying? But never the parents. And many said, nothing would have kept me from looking for my children. Doesn't matter what the police said. Stay here. We've got this under control. We've got the manpower. Come on now. I think we know better than that. You don't have the manpower. Only 13 officers on deck at that time, December 2020. So no way you had an entourage to look for the children. Nothing would have kept me from looking for my children. And in the end, that was their version that they had to stay in. The Cal City Police had it under control. Because you see, like most stories pertaining to missing children, deceased children, it is always the caretaker's version. Have you not noticed that in these very tragic tales of missing children, deceased children? It is always their version of what happened that day, that night. What do you believe? Do you believe Jacqueline and Giselle West, their version of what happened to the children on that fateful evening in Cal City? Do you believe those children went missing from that backyard? Do you believe that they were kidnapped out of that backyard? Do you believe someone came in like a phantom and took those children out of that yard without footprints, drag marks, tire marks, bicycle marks, car tire marks? Because we know that if any of those items were discovered on that fateful night, the police would have told us so. And that's why many of us believed the children did not go missing from that backyard, and nor did the children ever make it to that said house. Period. And that's what's up for interpretation. Did those babies make it to Cal City when the parents moved there with their other 4 children? What do those other children have to say? Now, many of you did not know that the last 2 who were adopted allegedly by Trezell and Jacqueline West were also itty bitty spiders. You didn't know that, did you? The things we find out. One was also 3, from my understanding. What does that itty bitty spider know? And the other one, and the other 2 that belong biologically to Trezell and Jacqueline West. What do those children know? What did they witness in that house? What secrets do all 4 of those children carry pertaining to the upbringing in that house and the disappearance of the 2 babies? What did they see? What did they hear? What did they told law enforcement? I'd love to be a fly on the wall. And I always said that would be what would break the camel's back. Is what the children said to police. The psychiatrist. What did the children tell law enforcement about living in that house with Trezell and Jacqueline West. You see, you can hide a multitude of sins. You can go over here and lay low in the cut, pretend not to have any friends and know anybody and talk to anybody, move from coast to coast, place to place. But you forgot one thing about a secret. It is never a secret if there are other participants, eyewitnesses. So those children can talk. And what do they have to say about Trezell and Jacqueline? Were they treated well? Were they favored? Were they favored highly or less than? Who got the most attention? Who got less attention? Who got ostracized, scolded, physically, verbally, and God knows the worst? Sexually abused. Who's to say? Who's going to tell? Hopefully the children have told what their life was like in that house with them. Will they get those said children back? I do not know. I don't think they deserve them back. Because what I have to tell myself is that California CPS came in and took the kids Johnny on the spot, the 4 remaining children. So that tells me CPS saw something with that couple and in that home to take the children immediately out of their care. And as Chief Walker said, we do not make that decision to remove children out of the care of their parents in an investigation of missing children, missing child. So why did CPS take those kids out of the care of the West? You see, this story, as I keep saying, goes on and on and on because you don't know anything. You've got mysterious people taking care of the children, mysterious grandparents, mysterious relatives, mysterious people on the book, YT, talking, giving information, but not pertinent information, such as, where are the children? Just a bunch of gibberish, oddities, weird behavior from people immersing themselves in the case, people wanting to be seen, clout chasers, all of that. Thirsty, hungry, miserable people. And that goes for the people on social media commenting, those related to the said parties, those on the YT as well. Thirsty, hungry for attention, wanting to be seen, jumping from channel to channel, commenters, jumping on panels. It's all the same. Thirsty as hell, lame as hell, disrespectful as hell. Because in the end, you did no justice for the children. You brought chaos and mayhem in the names of the children. Because if you really cared about the kids, you would have stuck with what was most important, which was finding the children, locating the children, not all the other rhetoric, circus acts. But now with social media, this has become the norm pertaining to missing and deceased children. People wanting 5 minutes of fame to ride on the backs of missing and dead children and people. I know what happened. I saw this. I know this, but they know nothing. I care. I'm invested, but they don't. You see, your actions tells the truth. You're not invested. Because no decent human would make up wild stories about missing children. Make up stories about seeing the children, spotting the children, passing information along pertaining to sightings of the children. I wouldn't even pass that information. And I wouldn't give a damn who told it. I wouldn't pass it. You don't have a picture? What is it worth? Because we know in the end, if you really cared about the children, you had viable information about the children, you turn the information over to law enforcement and you collect that check. Yeah, that part. You see, we always think that for the right dollar amount, someone will come forward to bring information pertaining to a crime. But in this case, over $100,000 and nothing. Why is that? Why hasn't anyone come forward to speak on behalf of these children to say they know where they are or what has happened to them? Why isn't anyone in this family, excuse my English, anyone related to these said adoptive parents spoken up to say, yes, they are weird, they're odd, they're this, they're that? You haven't heard anything on behalf of them, negative or positive, basically. And that's odd. No high school friends, no neighbors, no one to say, I noticed this, I saw this. We hung together, we rode together. I went to their house, they came to my house. Our kids played together. Very rare in a modern time, where no one speaks up on your behalf to your character, that you're decent, loving, family-oriented, or worse. You're not a good parent, you're not friendly, whatever. Nothing. You don't find that strange? No one speaking up on behalf of this couple to say, I'm their friend, I'm their neighbor, I went to school with them, I worked with them. They move out to a godforsaken city with these children. And yes, you are entitled to go wherever you want. You are an adult. You can go where you want. But is it normal, feasible for children under the age of 10, 11 to move out to a town of only a couple thousand people, barren, with not much to do? Not much to do for children, adults as well. Why there? Why Cal City? Too many towns around Cal City, Bakersfield, California to move to. And cheap. Queen did her homework. Queen always does her homework. Cal City is not the only inexpensive city to live in radius of Bakersfield, California, where this couple, Jacqueline and Giselle, migrated from with children. So we have to ask ourselves, why did they move to Cal City? What was so bad about Bakersfield? Or what didn't they like about Bakersfield? Did they get drove out of Bakersfield? What was the motivation to move from Bakersfield, California to Cal City with allegedly 6 children? And then, poof, voila, months later, 2 go missing from a backyard. They didn't take your other kids. They only took the 2 itty-bitty spiders. But as I told you, we later find out that one of the other adopted children, allegedly, was 3 at the time. So I'm going to say it one more time. Why those 2? Because you see, the notion was they let those other go to the grandmother's house, whichever grandmother. We don't even have a verification of which grandmother, for the holidays. But then we later find out months later that one of the children happens to be 3. So how is it that you said those 2 you're going to keep? They're more work. Stay woke. Stay woke. If one of those other 4 was indeed 3 at the time, well, that was the same age as one of the children that went missing. Because it was a 3 and 4-year-old that went missing. So later we find out that there is also another one that was 3. So that means in the 4 that went to the grandmother's house, 1 was 3. So why did you choose these 2 to leave behind? But they were rambunctious, is what was said to the news by Mr. Giselle West. So the other 3-year-old, he wasn't rambunctious. Stay woke. Why all boys adopted? Or taken care of by Jacqueline Giselle West. Y'all never asked yourselves that. Why all boys? And many people will say that raised boys, they're easier to deal with, handle. Less fuss than putting on dresses, body socks, shoes, hair bows. Girls. True. But a child is a child. And each child has his or her own personality. So how each one turns out is a roll of the dice. You never know. 6 months, 2 days. The missing boys of Cal City have not been seen or heard from. And we have to ask ourselves, where are they? Who has them? Are they alive? Were they trafficked? Were they sold? Was there a nasty accident at the apartments where they lived in Bakersfield? Or did someone get tired of dealing with them and one parent knocked off the two and had the other one aid them? Because you see, what I have to tell myself is that when you go this long, 6 months is a long time not to even have verification. And we also have to tell ourselves, Bakersfield chief made a mention, if you have any information of a year back, that tells you a lot, that perhaps the children are no longer living. Because you see, they get leery, law enforcement. 2 days in. Less than that. And a lot of times children are taken by their custodial parents because of custody issues. Somebody lost custody. So somebody's angry. They know where the children are. They go steal the children. That is a normal act that happens in this country. And many of you think the bio parents are involved. The bio mother, the bio fathers, whomever they are. I do not know. But one thing I do know is that something sinister happened to those children. And it would be nice to know that they are alive. But what you also have to tell yourself is that if they are alive, who the hell has them? Why do they have them? And are they taking better care of the children? And why would Jacqueline and Trezell give those said kids to somebody else when they adopted them from foster care? Why would you pass them along? Is it because they were too rambunctious? Both? Both are rambunctious? Both have the same personality? Both are the same? Are they the same? Was it just Trezell, Jacqueline? You got damn tired of those kids. You wanted out of your responsibility to raise them. And somebody came a-knocking. Either a doctor called, CPS. You missed some type of visit pertaining to the children, healthcare, medical, and you had to come up with a ruse because the clock was ticking. So on that fateful day, December 21st, 2020, you made a fake police call to the Cal City Police Department to say that your 2 children went missing from the backyard. But indeed, they were never there. And if they were at that house that day or days before, no one took them from the backyard. No one took them at all. You got rid of them. And this leads me to think that you murdered those kids. And they've been gone a while. A long while. And with COVID being in the background, it would have been very easy to murder your children and no one ask any questions, because perhaps you come from people who don't give a damn, so they aren't going to inquire, because perhaps they are not very friendly, loving, responsible people, and perhaps they are also involved in the disappearance of your children. They have some knowledge of where the children are, because it's gone on too long now, this facade of wandering kids. They're not wandering anywhere. And it would be too risque to have a child in your possession knowing that there is information out there that they're missing. The right thing would be turn the kids over and tell the truth in how you got the said kids. Because who wants to have kids in their possession? No matter how you got them, but you now know they're missing, but you would continue to keep them? Why would you risk being caught with them? You don't know how the tables are going to turn. You don't know what the West would tell the police, how you got them. Let's just say indeed you bought them, which is illegal to buy a human being without it being a legal adoption. You would have to explain that to law enforcement. And everybody and their mama would find out. And how would that weigh on you? Wouldn't be nice. Wouldn't look nice. Doesn't sound nice. So the right thing would be cough up the kids. And so far, no one has coughed up the kids. So where are they? Who's involved in the disappearance of the Cal City boys? Is it Jacqueline and Giselle West? Did they sell the kids or murder the children? Is it the mother? Did they give the children back to the biological mother, Ryan Dean, and she's hid the children? Or she's gotten other relatives to hide the children? Or did they, as I said, murder the children? Because it can't be but one or two. They sold the children to someone, did an illegal adoption with someone, gave the children back to the mother and or bartered for money with her family members for the children, or they killed the kids. It can't be but those few options. And as I stated, due to the timeline, 6 months in now, 2 days, I don't believe the children are alive. That's my personal opinion. Because too much time has elapsed. And when the chief of Bakersfield told us, if you have information to the children's whereabouts in the past year, that said a lot. That means he saw something that told him that a year the children haven't been seen, heard from. So all those stories you were hearing about birthday parties and this and that, and someone showed up without the kids in August, September, could be a lie. Misinformation. The children had been gone longer than that. Longer than the summer of 2020. Could be the spring of 2020. Could go far back as holidays 2019, when we saw all those photographs on Mr. Jamal Watkins' Facebook page of the families together with the children. And the fact that no new photos have come forward pertaining to the children. And you all bicker back and forth about there's photos of the children on file and blah, 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 and she gave them. Who told you that? They don't even talk. So you didn't hear it from Jacqueline or Giselle. So how do you know there are new photos of the children with the FBI? Because, ding, ding, if there were updated photos, don't you think the FBI and law enforcement would show those pictures to the public? Why would they not reveal them? You know, I always tell you all, stop asking why. Ask yourself, why not? You see, you don't know people. And every day I live, I can say that. You don't know people. Just like you don't know me, I don't know you. It can be just